Good afternoon. I'm Kim Bobo, host of Good Works Chicago. We are here this afternoon interviewing Greg Christian of Beyond Green. Uh, Good Works Chicago is a show that regularly interviews employers who are treating their workers fairly, paying them fairly, and trying to set standards for how work should be in this country. We also talk regularly with advocates, people who are trying to raise standards in society. So today we have with us Greg Christian. Greg, welcome.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so tell us, what is Beyond Green?
Well, what we do is we do two things. We're a food service company. We serve food to schools, preschools and K through 12 schools that don't have kitchens.
Okay.
And the other thing we do is we consult to schools around America that need help serving better food.
Well, I think that's a lot of schools, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of schools.
So you've got a niche though. What's your kind of specialty around food? You serve just like, Twinkies, or like, what do you serve?
We serve scratch cooked, local and local organic food, hormone antibiotic free food. We focus, Kim, on serving real food that kids like.
That must be hard.
It's harder than you think, because parents, the advocate parents, they want their kids eating kale, some of them, all organic food, and it's hard to hit that budget. It's hard to get kids to eat kale.
Yeah, what kid like kale? Yeah.
I didn't like kale a lot when I was a kid, but we do our best to get veggies into kids' mouths that they like.
And like, what is that? Like, what are a couple of the foods that kids really like?
Well, broccoli, corn, carrots, some of them. We do some stir fry with flavor. A lot of the veggies, a lot of food in schools, it's really processed. And it's really overcooked in general. And it's not tasty.
Yeah.
So that's the part. If you make tasty food, you've got a shot at getting the kid to eat better or more healthy.
Okay. So how long have you been doing this? Why did you start it? Like, where did this business come from?
Briefly, I've been cooking for 34 years.
Okay.
Chefing most of that time. And I used to be a fancy chef that worked in high-end restaurants and catering and chasing glamour, fame, money. And then through a sick child of mine, I discovered organic food. And I discovered local farmers maybe a dozen years ago. And I've kind of just drifted in a focused way towards school food. Because once we started feeding my kid healthy, she didn't go to the hospital anymore. And I realized I cared about what all kids eat in school. And that came after sobriety 11 years ago. Lots of meditation and praying, if you will. So I got out of my system the glamour, fame part of being a chef, and now am not chasing flavor as much as serving kids, the environment, community through food.
And so how has the business grown? Like, what's been the trajectory? You started just you, or you hired? How did you?
Well, I started about, again, like 11 years ago with a non-for-profit called the Organic School Project in Chicago Public Schools.
Okay.
And I put the first 10 vegetable gardens in the Chicago Public Schools, and I taught kids about food through the non-for-profit in 3 schools, and then I became a subcontractor of one, thanks to Mayor Daley, servicing all organic scratch-cooked food. And from that non-for-profit, I fell in love with the idea of let's do a profit business, and because it's more sustainable, economically sustainable. You don't have to keep asking people for money.
Yeah.
And so I just fell into consulting because I self-taught myself how to run a sustainable kitchen. And then the food service side is just a couple years old, of delivering hot food to schools that don't have kitchens. And today I'm focused on private schools. For years I cut my teeth in public schools, and that worked. I learned a lot. But to be economically sustainable, I need to make money, and so I've pivoted from public to private for now. And then soon I will head back into public schools with a for-profit business, probably not a non-for-profit.
It'd sure be great if we could have this kind of good food in public schools too, wouldn't it?
Well, it's critical. I mean, to me, you could serve the environment, farm workers, community through the food we buy. Once food systems localize, we will be serving more community and the environment more. We're currently not really treating animals too well, vegetables very well, lots of chemicals. The water ends up with those chemicals in them. We ship food around the world using gas, petroleum. So no one's really winning with our food system as much as we think. Some of us are. You know, the current food system is working for some of us, but it's not working for everybody. It's not working for the farm workers. It's not working for the animals. It's not working for the environment.
So, you know, this is Good Work Chicago. So I'm really interested in jobs and what kind of jobs are created and sustained in various businesses. And you and I talked a little bit before the show about this. So tell me about how many employees you have. How do you think about them? You know, how has that grown? And how do you think about paying and benefits and that sort of thing?
That's a great question. I employ about 6 people full-time and a couple part-time. And I have different kinds of people working for me. I'm the only white guy that works for me. I have Hispanics, African Americans, and of course women, and I like that blend of people. I think of them as part of my family. And so I pay them, I would say, well. I currently can't afford, and this really bugs me, health insurance for them. But I pay them above minimum wage. If minimum wage goes up, I have no problem with that. It won't affect me. And I think of them as how, like, they have lives, they have families, they have needs. And so how can we do this together? I can't pay them more than I have.
That's right. And I think that's a challenge for all startup businesses and many small businesses is how do you juggle that?
Yeah, it's hard. But these are people that have worked for me before they worked for me for my catering business. So I have a guy that's been working for me for over 15 years. Wow. Another guy, 8. So, and back when I owned a catering business, people worked for me 17 years, 15 years, a whole bunch of people, 10 years. So that happens by respecting them and paying them fairly, you know, more than fairly. It's strange to me how we're even having this conversation. There are huge companies out there. I respect them, but they're short-sighted, I think, and they externalize costs. And what I mean by that is they pay people the minimum amount they can or have to, so then the people that have to still get government aid, and they just get by. Nobody's really happy. You have happy staff. They come to you with solutions. They stick by your side, and you're having trouble, and are more understanding, and not saying things like, that's not my job.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I have job descriptions at my business, and I promise you people do more than what their job description says.
Right. Absolutely. And people stay, right? They stay.
It's critical to me that people stay. We have commoditized almost everything. I mean, 30 years ago when I was in the kitchen, it was a box of zucchini. Today it's a box of stuff. 30 years ago we served people. Now we serve units, formerly known as people. And so we've really unitized everything, including people. And so I don't want to unitize anybody.
Absolutely. In fact, we are, as Interfaith Worker Justice, this coming Black Friday, we're going to have groups all over the country outside Walmarts, basically calling on the nation's largest employer to pay people better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you are the richest company in the country, the largest company, the most workers, you can probably do better than minimum wage. And they are, for many of their workers, just 10, 20 cents right above minimum wage. And for so many workers, they get 20 hours one week or 10 hours another week, and they just, they can't make ends meet on that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the good news to me is that companies like that are already employing like so many people. So they have so many people working there. They're selling so much stuff made all over the world, and all those people get jobs. So to me, the healing will come when they start to transition towards taking care of their own staff a little better. They have a ton of money. I'm not mad at them personally, and but the system is set up. It just needs a little bit of a tweak, and everybody wins. So I'm hopeful that it will. Maybe not tomorrow or Black Friday, but
no, absolutely. There are. I think one of the things that Good Work Chicago really shows is that there are choices that companies don't have to do it the low road way, and I think clearly Walmart has some choices. They could make some choices to pay people better, to pay benefits, to try and work out full-time schedules for those who want, and steady schedules so they don't change every other day, right? How can you have a life that way? And that if they do that, there will be benefits and returns to that company.
I love that idea. I mean, I try to do that with the food I buy for my business. I try to buy food from farmers that I know.
Yeah, so tell me about it. How do you find them?
Well, I go visit them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm not a big computer guy, so I only use Google to find a movie to go see, and besides that, I find out where the farmers are and I go visit them. I've been to hundreds of farms. I meet them. I sit in their living room and I meet the animals and I look at the vegetables, and then word gets out, and then they start calling me, and I meet the farm workers in the field.
And how do you know with the farm workers? How do you know that they're being treated fairly?
Well, I look, I see. I've been to lots of farms. I ask, I just ask the tough questions. You taking care of your people, and then when I see the same faces year after year after year, that usually means that they are being taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I meet the animals. I see the animals. And I see the houses that they live in, the barns, and I'm not an expert, but you can tell.
Right, you can tell. So what kind of, when you think about sort of the workers that are in your company, where do you want to take that workforce? What kind of benefits do you have now? What kind do you hope to offer in the future? Like, what's your vision for that?
Yeah. A few things that I do right now is I pay people well. Everybody gets a scratch-cooked meal every day in my place. I give people transportation money every month, anywhere from $50 to $100 a month. That's for the train pass or gas for their car. I think that expense, it always hurt me when I was coming up. The $100 train pass. So I gift that to them.
Okay.
They like that. Of course, if you're going to have a child, they'll get paid for 30 days. That's the best I can do today.
Okay, so 30 days paid maternity.
Right.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, again, in the catering restaurant world, there's not much of that.
Right.
Not much of that.
What I hope to do, and I used to do like 12, 15 years ago, was health insurance. That's the big one.
That is the big one.
I don't like it that I don't offer that today, and when I have more income, that's the first thing that comes. Oh, and the other thing I do is I'm transparent with my numbers. So I sit down and show profitability of the company monthly.
Wow.
We're making money, we're not making money, everybody. Right? And I like that. Here's where we're at. No secrets.
And I bet people have not experienced that before.
They don't know what to do with that.
Yeah,
They just kind of stare. But they'll get used to it, And I want my staff to own part of the company. I'm a B corporation. I don't know if you've heard of B Corp.
Yeah, well, I have, but tell the audience what a B Corp company is.
Well, we are certified in being triple bottom line companies, meaning that we take care of profit, the environment, and community. And it's a stringent certification. And I was the first one in Illinois.
All right, congratulations.
Thanks. And there's about 1,000 B Corps now in America, and we can prove that we take care of community and the environment through our business. That's it in a nutshell.
That's great.
It's an honor to be a B Corp.
And how many are there now in Illinois?
I don't know that number. I should. 20.
Not very many.
25. Not a lot.
Yeah. So why do you think there aren't more?
It's hard. It's hard to prove that we take care of the environment and community. It's easy to talk about it. It's fun to talk about it. I recycle. I compost. I drive a Prius. When you talk about governance, when you talk about transparency, when you're being strongly asked to use a small bank instead of a big bank, it's hard.
Yeah.
So a lot of us like to talk about it. Few of us can really do it.
Wow. Well, listen, let me just say again to our viewers that if you don't have an employer that treats you well, treats you fairly, you can always call our hotline, which is 773-391-8885. That is our wage theft hotline, where an attorney or a law student can help you with employment problems, particularly with issues of wage theft. I don't know if you know much about wage theft, but this is a common problem in the restaurant industry where workers work and don't get paid for all their hours.
I didn't know that.
Or get called, cooks are called independent contractors and are paid like $200 an hour a week for 40 or 50 hours of work. It's prevalent in the restaurant and catering businesses as well. So.
And it's funny because I know so many wealthy people from the restaurant business. It's not we don't have to be doing that.
Yeah, but it is a problem. You've not really seen any of that in your connections?
No, but I'm sure it's there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's there. People, we live in a greedy time. That might be an understatement. And people worried about money, wanting more money. Sometimes I fall into that. I don't like it when I have that feeling, and you can't take it with you. We are stewards of the planet. We are stewards of our homes. We are stewards of our belongings. And, if we were an octopus, we would take those belongings and eat it. Then it would be us. But we're not octopuses, so we can't eat our home. And we can't eat our money and take it with us. So I just always question. People talk about their legacy and, getting whatever they have to the next generation. And I think that we need to worry more about how to survive life with love and truth, how to walk blessing and unconditionally loving people, while we work. But walking in forgiveness could be a better focus. And I want more that I'll never be able to.
For me.
Yeah, that I'll never be able to
anyone
spend,
else.
you know. And
So where did you get these values, Greg? Where did that come from?
well, I didn't always have them, for
Okay.
sure. I chased glamour, fame, drank a lot. And then I started studying with a Blackfoot Indian. And then I went to India a bunch and had a guru.
Okay.
And then I went back to my Catholic roots. I went to church every day for a couple of years. And then I met Dr. David Hawkins, and I just read his books continuously. And I've really just come to realize my intention is to walk a blessing, unconditionally loving, forgiving man that's grateful. I can't do it all the time, you know, but that's my goal. So I just kind of picked it up from different teachers and thinking about it and really questioning always. And I'm doing it today. I talked to my girlfriend today. Like, what's important to me?
Uh-huh.
You know, I've been trying to get a new kitchen and a big kitchen, and I want a big kitchen. And I'm just trying to make sure I want that big kitchen and big business for the right reasons and not to chase like glamour, fame, and money only, you know. I totally don't care about glamour and fame, but if I have to work until I die, I get that too. But I want to be serving all of life first. And sometimes it's hard. It's a fine-edged sword, Kim, for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the chef side is so strong, and it's easy to fall over that ledge. And
what's the chef side? What does that mean? Total control?
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
dropping F-bombs and getting what you want, you know, getting on Food Network, you know, do it my way or get out, chasing flavor, look what I did, you know, this look what I did. I didn't do that. God came through me and did that. Period. You know, so really that walking in humility, it does not come easy for us. And we're not supported to be humble by anyone. People think, I mean, we can get away with like a lot. Oh, he's a chef. It's crazy. But I've lived it. You know.
So we've only got a couple minutes left. So Greg, tell me, if you were giving advice to somebody starting a new startup business, what advice around how they would treat workers and think about workers, what would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is do the B Corporation assessment and see if you can become a B Corp. Because it's a great structure that supports you to take care of your staff. And they watch you. So you can't just pass the test or assessment and be done. They're all over you all the time. The next thing is, what problem are you solving with your business, and can you include serving the environment and community? Can you layer that in over the problem you're solving, right? And the third is, are you going to honor and bless your staff all the time, or just sometimes? Because if it's just sometimes, own it, and try to do better all the time. Right? Most of us are afraid to own that shadow side of ourselves, and I say own it and do better and get to know them. You don't got to be friends with your staff. You don't got to go to their showers, but you know, get to know them a little bit. They're human.
Great. Well, this is the show, Good Work Chicago, where we talk about treating workers fairly and that there really are choices. And Greg, you've shown us that you can run a business and make some choices and that they're not always easy. But we thank you for that choice and thank you for being with us today. Join us next week, Good Work Chicago.
Thanks.